Hello, hello. Greetings, everyone. Tiffany Bargeman here, your host of Friendpreneur Fiyah podcast, Unbound. We are here for another episode of this wonderful podcast that allows entrepreneurs to express their why so people will buy. That's why we're here. We all know that, if you don't know, I'm going to tell you this. According to Simon Sinek, he's an inspirational author and speaker. He says that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And I totally wholeheartedly agree with that because I have my own personal experiences and reasons for buying things. And I'm just in love with that quote. So I quote it all the time because it's true. I love to talk to entrepreneurs about their why. That's what we're going to do tonight with my guest, Ava Michele Seenarine. And I'm praying I'm saying that right because my last guest had to correct me and say I was saying her name incorrectly. But I think I got it right. So we'll let her confirm that later. But before we go into our interview with Ava of Mirage Media, we're going to just start with a few announcements because I want to make sure you guys know what's coming up for Friendpreneurship. First of all, Friendpreneurship is a business support community, and we build community by through targeted networking and live storytelling experiences. I was saying events for a while, but I'll say experiences because I want to make sure every time friendpreneurs come together to learn, to build relationships, and to go away with action items, that they've had an experience that is meaningful and unforgettable. So we have some events coming up, and I'm just going to touch on the one that's next, and then you can follow us online for announcements about the rest. So the upcoming Sip and Share collab, this will be our second one. It will be Tuesday, March 5th, 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. And our gracious venue co-host is Makeel Shaw of MSI Brand Solution. He is going to allow us to use his facility because, we are floating friendpreneurs and we take our patronage to small businesses in the area. So as our co-host, he's going to give us the space. We're going to have our meetup there. And I'm very excited because this is a friendpreneur who I met last year, and he has been he's been a wonderful friendpreneur, which is a friendly entrepreneur who is not afraid to bring others along for success. Again, that's Makeel Shaw. And that Sip and Share will be at 1100 Logger Court, and that's in Raleigh. Not far, well, it's off of Falls of Neuse Road, not far from Chipotle, Chopped, McDonald's, and Harris Teeter and all of that. So that'll be Tuesday, March 5th. Okay, and then we have some Friendpreneur forums coming up. And April, May, we'll be busy with those and the bi-weekly or bi-monthly Sip and Shares rather. So stay tuned for all of that. And now I am going to introduce you to our guest for the evening. And I will pause after I introduce you, Ava, and bring it on stage. We'll pause because I want to recognize our sponsors for the evening because we have 3 sponsors for this podcast tonight, and they also are friendpreneurs. So I am going to bring Ava on stage. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, Ava.
Hi, everybody. Hey, Tiff.
I'm glad you are here. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me and creating this opportunity.
Absolutely. Now, I'm excited because usually the people that I bring onto this podcast are people that I have met before and developed some kind of relationship with before we became friendpreneurs. So I just want to mention I met you through a mutual friendpreneur, Misha. And I tell you what, she has been a wonderful friendpreneur over the last 15 years and didn't even know it because she's the one.
15 years.
It's been because that's when I started wearing my hair naturally. And that's when I met her, when I was trying to find someone to do my natural hair. And then, we just stayed in touch. And then she became a friendpreneur and started supporting me and my small business, just like I had been supporting her all those years. So
yes,
it's worked out. And then I met you at her house, at her party. So it's all about the expansion, the circle.
All about the connections for sure. And your energy is just so vibrant and infectious. It was so easy to connect and relate and have fun with you the time that we met and it continues to be so. So it's been such a pleasure being connected and seeing everything that's growing from Friendpreneurship. I can't get over it. And that first phone call that we had where you shared everything with me, I just remember sitting in the car like screaming in excitement for everything that you're accomplishing and how strongly you feel about all of it. So I'm really flattered to just be a part, and I'm glad that our paths have led us here to having this interview today.
Yes, and we get to learn all about your business. Okay, so there is a little note that I grabbed from your social media. Okay, and I'm going to read what I found because I thought, okay, this is a good way to start the conversation.
Okay.
Ava Michele Seenarine.
Yes, you did say it right. I was backstage like, she did that. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Ava Michele Seenarine feels very strongly about highlighting bright, and it's in all caps, shining, talented, and beautiful spirits.
Yes.
Okay. And that's a quote. I just grabbed it and I said, we're going to talk about that. Why in the world do you credit your creative eye to the influence of a whole other generation? Okay. Hold that thought now. Yes. Think about that. I'm going to mention our sponsors.
Go ahead.
While you're thinking about that answer. And I'm going to pull up a couple of slides because I want to show the people who they are. Stand by. All right. So Touch of Sam, a full service boutique spa offering skincare, body massage, body rituals, infrared sauna sessions, foot treatments, gift cards, and more. This is a Black-owned, woman-owned company. I personally am a patron and I get my massages, and I've had the infrared treatment, and I just love the sweet spirit of Samantha Reagan, the owner of this company. So I highly recommend her. And then we have two other sponsors who are now Sip and Share sponsors. And I'm going to tell you just a little bit about Sip and Share later on, but we have our Sip and Shares on Tuesdays, like I mentioned, and people can sponsor by purchasing a drink for a friendpreneur who attends one of these. And Loving Hands Cleaning Service is one of our sponsors. The owner is Melanie Holden, and I've known her for a while now. Melanie, let me make sure you guys can see her info down here at the bottom. Okay, so Melanie has this cleaning service that services homes, businesses, and churches across and around Wake County, and she offers weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, and quarterly cleanings. She's the owner, 15 years into the business. She has cleaned my home and my mother's home, my late mother, and she does a wonderful job. So I recommend Melanie. And lastly, I just met this young lady, Tina Devon. She has a company called Skinfluent, and that's also a Black-owned, woman-owned spa on Jones Franklin Road in Raleigh, North Carolina. You can find out more information about Skinfluent on Instagram. And you can reach her at info@myskinfluent.com. There's lots going on, and I love to highlight the entrepreneurs doing big things. So that is that. Now, let's get back to Ava.
I'm literally writing down Skinfluent because, listen.
Yes, I know there's some waxing services, and I saw some brow advertisements, and I've been thinking about getting the thing done. Just a little chicken. Maybe one day.
One day.
Okay, so tell us what the influence has been for your photography and videography, Miss Ma'am.
Yes, I really appreciate the quote, that you pulled from socials as far as highlighting bright and inspirational and impactful people. This is a loaded question because I come from a very big, very loving family, very talented family, very passionate family. I mean, the list goes on. So with my roots being very strong and deep roots, I've grown up with an appreciation for that. And I have my parents to thank for that. They were the type of parents that truly made sure that we stayed connected with all of our family members and our ancestors, everything. I've always heard so many stories about each of the, impactful or incredible things that each person in my family did, whether they were with us or whether they were not. I think naturally that has always fascinated me, and I've been intrigued by what my parents have told me or by what I've seen. With that being said, My grandfather came to the States from Trinidad in his early 30s. And I'm aware of the fact that he came over here not knowing many people, with the clothes on his back and just a few dollars in his pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And he managed to start his family as well as start the family business. As far as my father's side of the family, that family business is what our entire family, that is 5 siblings, my
Mm-hmm.
father, 4 aunts and uncles, and 10 grandchildren,
Mm-hmm.
that truly would not be here and have the foundation that we do without my grandfather being the entrepreneur that he was.
Yes.
So he came over here with the trade of furniture refinishing and upholstery,
Okay.
moved to a very tiny town in New Jersey called Magnolia. And we are wedged in between some of the larger areas that do have a much higher socioeconomic status overall.
Mm-hmm.
And he made these connections with a lot of families that did have antique furniture that would go way back, and pieces of furniture that had been in their family for decades and decades and generations. And I'm aware of how meaningful it was to my grandfather and how meaningful it is to my father, having continued the family business, that they're not just taking in a piece of furniture and doing the job and sending it back.
Mm-hmm.
My dad is the kind of person that will sit inside of somebody's living room. You know, he was supposed to just be dropping a piece of furniture off. No, he ends up sitting down to talk about his father and to hear stories about his client and where the
Mm-hmm.
piece of furniture originated and all of those things. There's meaning and depth
I love that.
beneath what everyone is doing.
Yes.
Um, so the bright, impactful souls, to try to bring it full circle to the quote that you mentioned,
Yeah.
I'm paying attention to the deeper and more meaningful aspects of why, to your point,
Mm-hmm.
why a person is, as passionate and dedicated as they are. I see
Mm-hmm.
we have a comment from BJ. Is my father still doing that? Yes. And I'm not sure he'll stop. We be trying to get him to take a break and he won't.
That's beautiful. Somebody's
But
got to
I'll
keep
be
doing it.
very honest. Yeah, my grandfather really did work until his dying day. And although, he may have slowed down, you could just tell that it was in his heart, and you could tell that there was no other option and that it brought him joy. And
Yes.
as for my father, he really learned the art of refinishing and upholstery from his father.
Mm-hmm.
And he continues on the family business. And like I said, that passion and that understanding is there for their clients as people, not just the furniture as the job.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah,
Okay.
and that's just one grandparent. I'm sure we'll get to the other ones. I'm sorry, I'm gonna try to be more
Yes.
concise.
No, no, I want to hear all of that because it is about the story. Now, I've heard entrepreneurship came down through your family. And
Yeah.
even though your business is photography and videography, media related, theirs or your grandfather's was upholstery and
Yeah.
furniture. The entrepreneurial spirit is what you have in common. And the love of the story and the history is what you
Oh
have in
man.
common. So
And I
that
can't, I can't, I apologize. I don't mean to cut you off. I don't want to talk about just that side without talking about the other side. We got to keep going. On my mom's
okay, keep
side of
it
the
up.
family, woo man. So yes, my mom's mom, same
Uh-huh.
thing. I mean, she Woo, if it was, we're gonna buy that ice cream truck. Like, for some reason, the ice cream truck is the first one coming to mind. But let me just start by saying it's the running of the ice cream truck throughout the neighborhood and the connections that she had with each household in the neighborhood or each child in the neighborhood for that reason, because it
Mhm.
was a family owned. Forget Mr. Softy, the company.
Right.
No, Miss Jackie is coming around with her ice cream truck. And she
Yes.
knew the kids' names and she knew who their parents were,
Yeah.
and that's the first one that came to mind. But she just had a heart for community. She ran a food truck within one of the most industrial areas in New
Uh-huh.
Jersey, in Salem, New Jersey. And with that industrial area, just imagine all of the different buildings and businesses and construction companies and warehouses. And at that lunch hour, it was her food truck that's in the middle of it all. And the lines of people, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey,
Yes.
Shakira, I want to say hey too. I saw her about that. But the lines of the workers in that industrial area
Mhm.
that came to that food truck and enjoyed not just her food, but her energy and her dedication and her consistency to being there and serving that community. And that's, again, just the surface. She is a candle maker. She took candles. She would make candles all week, every week, and then take them out to that farmer's market on the weekend and have the regulars and know the people that came out to the neighborhood farmer's market every weekend. She did jewelry for a long time, and her jewelry was, of course, very special, and it still is sentimental to all of us. So both sides. And like, I want everyone to know what's fun is Tiff and I chatted for just a split second while I was backstage before we got started today. And to say it out loud is different. And I'm really like, she helped me to understand. It hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, you've got it from everywhere. Because my grandfather as well was always trying to find ways that he could, you know, work and make money and do something. And then my grandmother, it's you get the point. The family tree. It's
and they were preparing the way. They were preparing the way. It's in your blood. You can't help it.
I really can't.
And looking back, you know the history, but looking forward, you have to look back yet again to understand why God set it all up that way. And it's coming to fruition. Yes. Okay. So I want to talk about your photography and videography. We know about the candles. We know about the ice cream truck. We know about the furniture,
everything.
So the relationship building aspect of it is where I want to start with you, because you are capturing memories. You're capturing them in still shots and in video. This is such a big deal when it comes to relationships, because you have to trust the person who is recording your history. You want to know that they are going to capture the essence of you, the moment as a special moment. How do you navigate the relationships with your clients or your soon-to-be clients when it comes to letting them know, I've got you in this area. You can trust me with your memories.
I love this question so much. To just pull away from the concept of entrepreneurship, even if I was not a photographer and a videographer, even if I didn't have an LLC, I just love people so much. I love people. I'm just one of those folks. I got a really big heart and I'm not afraid to use it. Like, that's that's good. I'm gonna write that down somewhere.
I like that.
So before I even really think about the business aspect, I have to admit I'm excited for the phone calls and for the questions that come first. So when it comes to any inquiry and discovery calls, not only do I feel like I'm asking the questions that might be out of the box that some people may not even think to ask. But I have to admit that I also cross over into a personal understanding, and I'm aware of that and I really enjoy it. So those inquiry calls, I feel like you would expect for some people to just have a checklist of, all right, so you want me to record this. You popping quotes up on the screen? I did not know you were doing that.
Real time.
This is fancy. This is fancy, y'all. I love that. Oh, that's so. But I do cross over into a bit of a personal threshold, and I want to say that I owe my history in the event industry. I owe it to that. I started off at 19 working for a lot of bar and bat mitzvahs, weddings, birthday parties, and I saw the behind the scenes of the vendors that planned those events and were active during those events. So it was really cool to start off in an area where people are celebrating something very meaningful and sentimental. I'm paying attention to that. I'm paying attention to how much your product means to you and why you started your business too. This why just keeps coming full circle. I love it. I'm paying attention to whether or not you have started your own family, whether or not you are close to your parents. I'm paying attention to whether or not you are in a relationship or are you single. And it's not that those things might have anything to do with what I'm photographing or taking video of. It's that I want to understand you before we even get to those pictures and videos, so that when we are together, I might be able to make a joke about how we both single and we out here looking, you know, like it's still connecting with the person for who they are as a person. And then I like the process of taking that information and blending it into being better connected so that I can do a better job. Or even if it's just making the two of us more comfortable so that we do communicate more frequently or easily at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really does become all about the person before I even think about the business aspect.
Yeah, I can imagine that if you have a client who loves pets, for example, and you've observed, like when you were having your consultation, how her cat jumped up in her
Oh,
lap,
yep.
and she was just mindlessly petting the cat and talking to
Yes.
you, that may come up later on in
Exactly.
a random photo that you took of the cat going across the lawn at the bar
Yep.
mitzvah. And that's going to make her, happy when she sees those
That
proofs.
is so on point. That is
Mhm.
completely accurate. And I can't tell you how many times I've had situations exactly like the example you just gave, understanding how much I have seen folks bring their dogs to the candle lighting ceremony at a bat mitzvah and have someone walk the dog through for the candle lighting. Like
Yeah.
you really have to know what means the most to people.
Mhm.
And I find it to be an honor to have a camera and have the opportunity to capture that in the way that people would like it captured, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, well, speaking of that, now BJ's question is what sets you apart from everyone else in this business? What makes you different?
Honestly, I want to touch on like that answer just there. My love for people, my passion for people before I even think about the business aspect. I think that, everybody's different. A lot of folks have that very hyper logical, strategic, and organized approach, which
Mhm.
of course is necessary. But I lead with my heart first. All of the logic and the organization is definitely still there. It's just that I want to pay attention to how I feel and to how another person feels as well. And that's kind of the icing on top of the cake. If the business is the foundation, we're going to make sure we put the icing of understanding one another on that cake as well.
Mhm.
Um, Another thing that sets me apart that I do mention frequently, and thank you, BJ, because I just realized this is not on my website anywhere and I should add it in somewhere. But I was a teacher for 15 years. I'm the eldest of three.
Mhm.
So that same level of being caring and attentive and understanding and compassionate, those are all qualities that come very naturally to me. And for 15 years, I was a devoted and happy educator as far as music and dance education. So I think that also sets me apart because I'm a judge-free person. Like I understand how completely different everyone is, how complex and intricate each human is going to be. And then I still want to go into the situation from one client to the next with a unique approach, knowing that this client is not going to be anything like this last conversation, this last client that I had.
Yeah.
So I like to just see people for who they are. And that comes from 15 years of having one student who's completely introverted and another student that is way too extroverted and
Yeah.
another student bouncing off the walls while I'm trying to teach. Like that's definitely a mental practice to
Yeah.
be aware and able to understand how different everyone is and still run a tight ship
Yeah.
regardless of that.
Okay, well, speaking of differences, then, when it comes to your clients,
Mhm.
I'm sure everybody has a different experience. When you are going into a situation where you have to capture memories, there are some people who know exactly what they want. I want you to make sure
Mhm.
you capture this moment, that moment. Don't miss
Mhm.
this moment. Others are like, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah.
How do you strike a balance and not lead them
Mhm.
to a place where, you're in control of their memories, but
Yes.
draw out of them exactly what's going to make the experience great.
Yes. The first thing that comes to mind is question asking. I like how you said draw out of them.
Yep.
Um, the hope is that the inquiry call and the discovery call already established a lot of that information. And even if I do end up on the phone with someone who's kind of like, well, this is my first call about this, I don't really know where to start.
Mhm.
To be honest with you, that I almost want to say that makes it a little easier because it puts me in a driver's seat for the entire process of, well, let me show you how much I care. Well,
Mhm.
then let me show you how truly inquisitive I am then. In order for me to be able to do the job to the best of my ability, I hope you don't mind feeling interviewed a little bit because there are things that I know to ask you about that you may not have even thought of. And I can't tell you how many times I really love it when this happens. How many times a client is like, Oh, wait, that's a great point. I didn't even like those types of questions. That's really my answer for that. It puts me in the seat and it just puts me into interview mode where I go above and beyond to ask questions and get as much information as possible.
Yeah. And that's the value that you add. That you know what kinds of questions to ask to draw that experience out. And that's why people hire photographers and videographers. They may have cousin Peanut or Sally Sue who's good with their iPhone, but they know that there's something about a professional photographer, videographer that will do a little bit more than just snap some pictures. And so yeah, you explained
all my life. And you know, I'm bringing this full circle back to family. Okay. Every family function. I mentioned how large my family is. And our house was definitely the hub for a very long time for those family functions. We've got this big backyard and everybody's there all summer for the barbecues and stuff. And I remember when I started getting this comment or this compliment, like, you just have an eye. You have an eye. I never would have thought to stand over there and take this photo. So I think that there's a creativity that I was blessed with by God that I can't owe anything to, because I didn't go to school for something like that. But to receive that compliment is flattering, and it humbles me to say, okay, well, if God just gave me that eye, what am I going to do with it? And then also just the family that I've been blessed with and the heart that I have for them. And for seeing them laugh and for seeing them hug and for seeing them, like, there's a reason why I added that onto my website, because all of those moments, I don't know what I would do without being able to look back at them. And I'm glad that technology has led us here. So if I feel that way, I'm grateful for the opportunity to help create that same feeling for others that, you know, are so glad that grandma made it to their wedding. You know what I mean? Things like that I'm truly thinking of because of how meaningful my family is to me.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to pick up there in just a second, but I want you to tell me your website address, because I'm going to pop it into the.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's miragemedia.video.
Okay. So let people check that out. Okay. So I want to talk about your first experiences, because it sounds like it started with family, but think about when you got your first camera and what were you interested in? You know, I guess family, you know, it's always going to be a big part of the beginning. But what drew your interest?
I mean, it goes back before the first legitimate camera. I was so excited, and really excited is the only word. I was going to say like passionate, but the passion had to grow. I was so excited to just get started that I was getting all this equipment for me to use my cell phone. And, you know, it was a big deal that the better cameras kept coming out and coming out and coming out. So I'm really glad you asked that, because my Uncle Mikey's 40th birthday party music video is wild. I'm going to send it to you. And you can see that the quality is different, because when was that? Was that 2020? Wow, that was 2020. Yes. It was a pandemic summer outdoor situation, fire pits, whatever. But I was so excited. And I mean, we all can attest to how we all felt about getting together with family in the midst of 2020. So that one hits different. That was like that. My heart and soul is in that video, and the way that, like, there's a portion of the video, I call it the hug reel, because it's my Uncle Mikey's 40th. Every person that you could think loves him is present, you know? And the hug reel is when each person like arrived or was leaving or was handing him a gift or something. And for those seconds, it just cuts from one person to the next, to the next, to the next. How the handshakes were different, the hugs were different, the smiles were different. Like, love that part so much. But like, yeah, that's like my first music video, full length, like from beginning to end. And that was great. I want to bring that. I want to use that as a segue to friendpreneurship as well. I got excited. I knew that this was something that was meaningful and that I wanted to do. And I networked with, Day 777, DAI 777 up in Jersey, and Shad and Khalif. They're both just ridiculously talented artists, also cameramen, also editors, also photographers, videographers, and they were just so gracious and understanding, and they were excited about the talent and my want to grow and move forward in that industry. So like they helped me with a lot just starting out. They gave me the opportunity to come to different events and film. And same thing, I was getting this feedback like, oh wait, this is good. Like, yeah, let's keep going. Let's keep doing this.
What's that thing that do? You have an
eye. The eye. Yeah. So like friendpreneurship, networking, the support of my family as well as friends like that definitely makes a difference. And then like full circle, coming back to Tamisha, who is the reason that you and I met, absolutely would not be here without her support and understanding. Just straight up would not. You know, she's part of the reason why I was able to move down to North Carolina in the first place. But the level of support, y'all, she threw me a business shower.
I've never heard of business shower.
I wasn't even at the point where, like, I wasn't even where I wanted to be to feel like I deserved a business shower. You know, like, was the website live? Did I have the right equipment? Did I have enough clients to even feel established and things like that? And really, like, came to the house one day, balloons everywhere, people, she invited people, food out on the counter. You know what I mean? Like that level of support and thoughtfulness, you can't put a price tag on. And it made me feel like, okay, well, what's the next step? Let me keep going. Like that level of support is just incredible. So
yeah, that's a big part of friendpreneurship. Now, the motivation that we sometimes lose, we need someone else to pour that back into us. Because as entrepreneurs, the spirit is there, but sometimes it gets discouraged. Sometimes it gets dormant. Sometimes it gets confused. Sometimes it doesn't know what's next. And just someone to say, you can, or look what you did. You can do this. Why don't you do that? You have the creative eye. You are this, you are that. And here are the resources that you need to do it, right? Someone has to do that for us. So to know that you have had those people in your life, you want to shout their names out, feel free, because they are the friendly entrepreneurs who were not afraid to bring others along. We know there's a difference between people who are competitive and people who are collaborative.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate that your entire organization stands for that and promotes that as well. Promote, support, repeat. Yes. Like that level of support is necessary for sure. And promoting one another. And I want to use this as an opportunity to say, so I mentioned Tamisha is the reason I moved down here. Tamisha is the reason I was able to get started. And even now I have some of the most phenomenal mentors. And honestly, I think I get on their nerves saying thank you so much, because like I grew up in a very spiritual, very religious household. And I will tell everybody, my parents, my grandparents, gratitude was the numero uno attitude. And I make the joke that like, nah, my dad made sure that I was, it was like, did you call your grandmother? Did you call her and say thank you for the call? You didn't say thank you? Get on that phone right now. You know what I'm saying? It was a little scary, but he made sure that I understood what it meant to be grateful. And I really understand the spirit of friendpreneurship and how you can't, you know what they say, go far, go together. Yes. You want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go fast, sure. Well, I don't know what it's going to look like when you get there. But so even here in North Carolina, I have to mention John Warlick Media, and that's JON. There's no H there, but like one of the most talented, as well as just humble and kind. You know, like I said, it's about the spirit and the person first. And I'm so grateful for John and his wife, Zara. They are leading videographers here in the Triangle area, wedding videographers. And they had no problem with just like, hey, no, come along with us to this wedding. We'll show you some stuff. And even now we're talking today, hey, we should have an editing day. Let's all. And I bring that up to say, we were just at a styled shoot at Union Hall recently. And the conversation came up about how, like, what's the point of being competitive when there is so much work to be had for all of us? But more importantly, and you'll love this part, we're all so extremely different, where, you know, if I were to get a no, but John were to get a yes, we should be grateful for that, because you're telling me that this person may not have been aligned with my personality or my style, and they were aligned with John's personality and style. So you've just got people that ended up exactly where they belong. So the folks that are so busy being competitive, they ain't got time for it. I just want to collaborate and do what I love and be happy and be supportive and loving towards others too. Like, I got a big heart. All right.
We'll put that quote back up in a little bit.
Yes, yes.
Okay, let's talk about challenges. What has been, if you're comfortable talking about, the biggest challenge for you as you work on this vision that God gave you? The biggest challenge.
All right. Interesting. Believing in myself. And I will gladly take this opportunity to tell everyone that a new you, ANEWU, okay, counseling services. I'm a completely different person than I was exactly 18 months ago. A new you counseling services. And therapy is just extremely powerful in regards to having someone who is devoted to your success and your evolution. That's really what it boils down to. Yes, they're getting paid to do it and be there for you, absolutely. But to have that consistency and that professionalism, and they're right in Raleigh too, yes, that consistency and that professionalism, and the fact that it is their job to see you through and to see you grow in the right direction. I've truly struggled with believing in myself, and this is where friendpreneurship comes in as well. If not for people like Tamisha looking at me and saying like, no, it's okay that you might not have it now, but be patient, you will. There are absolutely years and days and times where I was just like, all right, forget it. I'll just go work at Starbucks. I love people. I would love to draw a panda on somebody's coffee cup. I'm just going to go work at Starbucks.
What drew you back? What pulled you back?
Friendpreneurs.
Exactly. Somebody's in your ear, right?
Seriously. It's also a genuine love. It's also, this feels like my purpose.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, this conversation could go on. It could get so deep and so long. But I wanted to mention, I've been telling y'all, like, my grandparents, man, they really are the foundation and the reason. My grandfather, who ran the furniture business, it's his wife who had dementia and Alzheimer's, struggled with that for a 10-year span of watching her lose her memory. It's things like that that really drive me, where I'm thinking to myself, no, this has to be commemorated. No, somebody has to be able to go back and look and see, or to listen and hear. My grandfather, John Latany, while we're not blood related, he is my reason. He has saved my life many times just by being a listening ear and an understanding spirit, just by the way that he's been supportive to me. And he's truly the start of Mirage Media, because I hit an age where I hung on to every single word that he said. It was just good timing. Sadly, my father's father passed when I was about 12. Whereas Papa John, I had him through my 20s. So to be a young adult, to transition from being a teenager to young adulthood, the conversations that I started to have with him and the way that he helped me understand who I am and what I'm capable of, I started recording his conversations. And what I like to share with people when this comes up is that I never told him I did that. And I don't know if he'd be upset. I don't know if he'd be joyful and grateful. But every sit down, no matter how long, I started just popping my voice memos on. And I've got about 9 hours of conversation now. I remember being angry with myself for not doing that sooner. But everything in me just says, like, no, people are here with a story and with a purpose. And I enjoy having the opportunity to film or record or take photos of what that story and that purpose is.
Mhm. So
Period.
media, that's where the media part comes in, because if you're recording audio,
Yep.
that can be incorporated into photography.
Yes. And I'll share with you one of the things that I'm excited to get into. Like, I want to do family documentaries. I want
Yeah.
to be there for someone's 90th birthday party and be hired to be the person that has that high quality, microphone on the guest of honor who's turning 90 throughout the party, who's telling the stories. And even if it is just an audio recording, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are things that are truly my heart. So I think this
Yeah.
kind of goes back to BJ's answer too. Everyone is different. Some people don't have positive relationships with their
Mhm.
families.
Right.
My relationship with my family is just too positive. It's just
Mhm.
all love and passion and understanding all the time. So
Well,
that's
cherish that.
fuel.
Never take that for granted, ever, ever, ever,
Yeah.
ever, 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 because everybody does not have that. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing. My late mother was really strong in recording family history stuff. At our reunion, she would make sure that she made sure people had the CDs back then,
Yes.
of people talking and telling stories. She had a booklet put together of each of her
Yeah.
siblings' stories, their backstories. And I didn't even know a lot of this stuff until we read these books. And now we have that information, this generation. They made sure that we have it. And one of my cousins is into history too. And
Yep.
she and her other cousin, they're running with it. They're going to do some stuff with it. So I'm
Yes.
excited about that. It's so important to capture this stuff. You can't
Yes.
just leave it in the history.
Right.
Let's
Right.
ask another question. What 5 year
5-year
goal
goals.
do you have for yourself? Yeah. What do you see? That was going to be, listen here, BJ. That was going to be one of my
DJ
questions.
out here taking your questions.
What's on the horizon for Mirage Media?
Um,
Short and long term. Let's talk, next year and 5 years out. Your
short
roadmap.
term, short term, I'm very excited. I'll share some exciting. I mean, it was a really big deal to launch the website just this past weekend.
Hmm.
Um, Short term, I would love to say that I have filmed at least 12 weddings in a year. If it means that I've acquired one wedding client per month, that would be
Hmm.
phenomenal.
Okay. A goal. Good goal.
Um, Short term, I'm also very excited to be very transparent, to simply learn more about the art of videography and everything that my camera and all of my equipment is capable of. So I will
Hmm.
be investing a lot of time in 2024. Again, friendpreneurs that are willing to teach me, I'm so grateful for. I'm really excited to learn more and simply see my craft evolve as it goes on. I shed so many tears of joy when I finished with the website. I was in the zone creating the montages that you'll see on the homepage.
Yeah.
So I was in the zone and I pulled an all-nighter. I had been awake for 24 hours.
Oh, goodness.
And then after I was finished with it all and I sat back and opened the homepage, I saw video and color and movement that I'm not sure I stood back to like appreciate and acknowledge that I had done it. Maybe in the midst of it, it feels like I'm so happy to finally get this to the client. I'm happy the client is happy with.
Hmm.
That was the first time I sat back like, whoa, this actually looks really good. And I remember when it didn't look good.
Yeah.
So to just continue to see the colors and the clarity of my video and photo work grow,
Hmm.
that's a huge goal, and I'm focused on that right now.
Hmm.
5 years,
Hmm.
I want to have some semblance of a studio space, even if it just means I have great friends. Oh, shout out to Justice Henry up in Philadelphia, and Allie and Sarah, my closest friends, my Destiny's Child. Like, that network and those people, again, when I lived up north, that were willing and able to just be like, no, you got it, Ava. What do you need?
Hmm.
Justice Henry is an incredible photographer in Philly. And he does have this beautiful, bright, spacious studio space within his own home. I love that. I think that's so cool. And
Yeah.
it's not having to pay the additional monthly rent, for your own space
Yeah.
that you have. So to end up in a space that's large enough where someone can step in and have the backdrops and have the lighting. Definitely 5-year goal. As a matter of fact, I've never said that out loud. I'm going to write it down. Thank you, BJ.
Now you got to do it, Ava. It's out there. It has been spoken.
Yes, yes.
That's beautiful. And you said something very important. The continuous learning that we have to do as entrepreneurs is so important. When you talk about camera equipment and the capabilities of your equipment, I know that changes on a regular basis. You just have to keep up with technology if you want to do the best work.
It's so funny you say that, because as far as audio recording, I like spent money on this one thing thinking I got something awesome. And then I went out and did a job with John and Zara, and they had a totally different system for microphones. And I was like, wait, I need that one. Never mind. Send this one back. I need that.
Yes, but being around them, that exposure gave you that insight. And that's something that you could grow with. Yeah.
Yes.
So speaking of that, I want to highlight the purpose of the gatherings that we have, like the Sip and Shares and the Friendpreneur Forums, is to bring like-minded visionaries into the room, whether you are at the beginning stages of your entrepreneurship or you've been in it for a long time. You can learn something, you can share something, pour into, receive in that environment that's going to help this next person grow. That's going to help that next person elevate. That's going to show them something that they did not know, or plant a seed in them that will sprout into something that's going to take them to the next level. Yeah. I want to be that provider, give people the space to do that, because when I see it happening, just having people introduce themselves at a Sip and Share, they're talking about what they do, what they love, what they're passionate about. And people are watching and listening, and somebody will say, oh, I need such and such and such from you. And I'm like, yes, yes, yes. And then in the back of my head, I'm thinking, I know this person who needs that. I'm going to connect them later. I got to make sure I do that. All of that's going on. And it's so juicy to me.
I love that.
So I think it's so important, first of all, to continue to be in the rooms with people of any industry. You're a photographer, a videographer, but you can be in the room with an insurance salesman and get something out of that conversation. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes, yes. I love that you mentioned that. I'd like to mention the event that I attended at Seven
Springs.
Yes, conference. Yes. I can't tell you how much I love Shakira, and I'm so glad that I met her, and that was so fun. And for that same reason, I mean, the photo of her having the gimbal, and I loved I could tell that she was bursting at the seams with like, ooh, what's that? Can I hold it? And I'm like, you and I think we shared that spirit of seeing people find something new, seeing people evolve in this way, seeing people's joy expand. But also, she's just so sweet too, and like she was just like,
she's part of my huge family.
And I think the spirit of an educator that I have, I also felt that genuine joy of like, girl, you go ahead and take that gimbal, you record whatever you want with that.
School me, what is a gimbal?
I'm sorry. Okay, so the gimbal is the stabilizer, the small tripod, but it has a 3-axis like engine in it. So our camera is connected to a gimbal. We're able to just hold it by the stem. Mine is across the room by the stem, but the 3-axis engine is keeping that camera stabilized depending on where we're turning and facing and moving. So whereas if I was holding this handheld and you would get the shakeage, that engine is creating stability and the camera is resting there where you wouldn't have as much shake because it's moving along with how the camera is moving.
Okay, so I know we've got these things that, since Shakira does our media at church, I started seeing them with these, they had their phones on a stabilizer. I don't know if it's called a gimbal, but it looks like this.
That's considered a gimbal as well. It depends. I think it might depend on if it has the engine in it or not, because you can still get some great stability just from having that stem and that additional arm. But most of them do move along with the direction of the gimbal. So if I were to take the gimbal and tilt down, You know, if I did it with my hand, it might be too choppy, it might be shaky. Whereas if I did it with a stem that I had here on the gimbal, the engine is taking the camera with it slower or more stable and getting rid of a lot of that shake. So she was out there, and mine is kind of big and heavy too. I got this big lens. I had big lens on it, like, but she did her thing. It was awesome. And I saw how much joy that brought her, and that just made me so happy too.
I'm loving watching her grow.
Mind you, I'm gonna look at my calendar on March 5th. I'm hoping I can attend.
I hope so.
Yes,
I hope so.
That'd be great.
Okay, we got to wrap it up. So I would love for you to tell us where people can reach you. We've got your website up. I'm going to pull that up again. But if they want to call you, if they want to have a consultation, a discovery session, what is the best way?
Yes. My preferred method would definitely be the contact page there on the website, because it does ask for some preliminary information that I'm able to see. And then I will reach right out in order to schedule an inquiry call, or I call it a disco call. Short for discovery, so that I can discover more about everything that, or all of the ideas or the vision that a person has. So I would say the website is definitely primary. As far as social media, bear with me, y'all. Listen, Jesus, I don't like social media as much as it may seem. I gotta work on it. But listen, I know BJ said he can't see the site. Let me see what comes up there. That's strange.
Did I type it wrong? Let me go back.
Let's see. I just typed it in and it did come up to me, Mirage. No, you typed it correctly. So I'm not sure if that just may be a Wi-Fi issue or something like that.
Okay, yeah. BJ, check that.
Yes. So social media, I was born, my generation, I'm on the cusp of it. I grew up without it. And to have the different, man, we might need a part 2 to this conversation, but to have the different, things that I needed to go to therapy for, to have the different insecurities and just, things that I grew up with. Social media did not help with any of that at all. And just the concept of comparing ourselves to one another all the time and the constant stimulation, I'm not entirely a fan. However, I understand that it can be used for good rather than So I am starting. That's another 2024 goal. Let's go back to BJ's question. I do want to be able to put more effort and energy into how I'm presented on all these platforms. So like my TikTok is terrible because I'm just like, another one. So I'm gonna take the time and put the energy into Mirage Media _ on Instagram and on TikTok. And Mirage.weddings is where I will be keeping just my wedding films. Yes. So
yes, add to the good on the internet. That's one of my goals too. I love telling people about good things.
Absolutely. Girl, I was just thinking about that like last night. I love that you just said that.
It's true.
I was thinking, let me tell you my thought process real quick though. There's so much darkness, especially right now, now, right?
Yes.
So much negativity, but then we have the people that are so dramatic and feeding into the drama, feeding into the cattiness, feeding into the gossip. I just said to myself last night, I just want to be the complete opposite of that. So the same way that you can hop onto certain site, like the shade room is coming to mind right now. Okay, you made a whole site about throwing shade at people. It's entertaining, sure, whatever. But like, if there's a light room, can I be that? I want to be the light room. Okay.
Let's bring the light. Let's be the light.
Yes.
Now, I've never watched The Shade Room. I've just the title alone gives me hesitance. I don't have any desire to go see that.
Y'all can have the shade. I'm excited to connect with people that are like, well, we just want a little more light in our lives.
Yeah, we'll bring it. We can do that. We got you.
Amen. I'm so appreciative to be connected to like-minded spirits and individuals. And again, like, I thank you so much for inviting me and considering me worthy to be Friendpreneur interview. This is awesome.
Kermit the Frog. I feel like Kermit the Frog. I want to hear all the stories. I want to hear because I just love it. It just brings me closer to you as an entrepreneur, as a person. And I'd rather have the meaningful relationships than the superficial, fly by night, whatever.
I agree.
I don't want them. I don't like small talk. I don't like superficial anything, period.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes.
Find
We're here for the depth of the book.
Okay, Ava, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm gonna leave your site up here scrolling while I give some final announcements.
No worries.
Um, okay, so besides our sip and share, which is coming up Tuesday, March 5th, 6:30 to 8 p.m. You can go to friendpreneurship.com and there is an events page or experiences page that you can get the details about that for and RSVP. And also, while you're on the site, check out our membership. It's called the Friendpreneur Fam. And the Friendpreneur Fam allows entrepreneurs to attend these different experiences, whether it's a virtual experience like this one and the in-person experiences like the forums and the sip and shares. You get loyalty points for attending, and eventually you'll be able to be a speaker at a conference or have a discounted vending booth at the conference, or as you bring in new members because you're telling them about friendpreneurship, you'll get loyalty points for that and just have more and more benefits. So that's what the community is all about as far as the paid membership is concerned. But anybody can join these events because we want people to come in and feel the experiences, feel the friendpreneurship spirit so that you can spread it. Spread this spirit, everybody, because it's not about competition, it's about collaboration. When visionaries support visionaries, the sky is the limit. That
Beautiful.
is my mantra. Okay, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your Sunday evening
Thank
attention.
you.
Yeah, I
Thank you
appreciate
so much for this opportunity and for your time and energy as well. Thank you to
Yes,
everybody who tuned in with these awesome questions.
yes, thank you, BJ, Shakira, and I wish you much success. And I hope to see you at an experience
Same to
soon.
you. Oh, you will definitely see me at an experience, and I'm coming through with this, and I'm taking
Yes,
all the pics.
bring a
And
friend.
yes,
Have a good
I'm so
night.
excited and so happy to be connected. Thank you again, too.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.